Maria Tumbaga Rojo is making dinner in her studio apartment in Mesa.
Just get this to boil.
It's cramped quarters, and it wasn't always like this. In fact, Maria used to own this home, but that was before she met a man named Thomas Morgan, who she calls her fiancé.
I have gone from a 4-bedroom home into a 1-bedroom apartment to a studio apartment, and I work full time.
How she ended up here is a case study in romance scams, how unscrupulous people on the other side of town or the other side of the world con women and men out of tens of thousands of dollars.
It's this very ancient, visceral, sort of, psychological phenomenon.
And it is by no means rare.
We're seeing more of them, and that's unfortunate.
Maria's story began 4 years ago when she met Thomas at a conference in California.
He said, well, I am a jeweler by trade, and I'm here because I am going to be meeting with someone about an assignment that I want to get in Russia.
She says they developed a relationship.
We communicated through the internet and through the phones.
Thomas then claimed he ran into legal trouble overseas, and Maria started sending money. He was framed. He needed a lawyer. He needed to pay bribes. Wire transfer receipts show Maria sent tens of thousands of dollars. When she contacted us, she still believed Thomas and her relationship were real. How much money have you spent so far helping him out?
Close to $67,000.
Over like 3 years.
Over 3 years, yes.
$67,000. And you don't think you're being scammed?
I don't. I really don't, because I don't feel it. I feel he's an honest man. He cried when he was in jail.
She still believed him, and the true price she had paid was actually much greater. How do these con artists hook their victims?
Part of it is preying on vulnerabilities.
Athena Actipus is an assistant professor of psychology at ASU. She says it starts with the same feeling of having a crush, then gets more extreme.
There's this phenomenon in psychology too, which is, if you have already said yes to someone, you're more likely to say yes again. It doesn't start with, I need $100,000. It's after you've said yes many times.
$1,985.
It took us several meetings with Maria to find out how much she really sent to Thomas. $200,000.
Bitcoin? I don't understand what that is. I mean, I don't do Bitcoin.
Through wire transfers to middlemen across the U.S., people she thought were working for a lawyer who was trying to get Thomas out of jail in Russia. And she still did not fully believe she was being conned. At this point, you're not ready to say that it is a scam?
Not yet. He didn't look like the type of caliber of person that would scam somebody. Not by the way he talked, not by the fact that he is very religious.
Are these like just single people ripping off Americans, or are these like complex organized crime rings?
Well, we've seen a mixture.
Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich has prosecuted romance scammers. He says it's a growing problem, and these cases are very tough to crack.
Organized crime, organized gangs in other countries know that this is sometimes a very easy path to money, and that because they're in foreign countries, it's hard to extradite them, it's hard to investigate them.
After speaking to Maria for 2 months, we convinced her to go to the Attorney General. By now, she seemed to realize she had been had, and that there was very little chance she would recover any of her money.
No, the only thing I have left then is to go to the FBI and let them know what happened, because I've got all the documentation of the monies that was sent. We were supposed to have gotten married after the contract was done in Russia. We had our plans and everything, and it all fell through.
You weren't supposed to be living in a studio apartment.
No. It was just disbelief. It was like a bad dream I can't get out of.
Barb Smith is living a nightmare as she grieves the death of her brother Roger.
He loved to make people laugh. He had a real big, kind heart.
And now heartbroken by the messages she's convinced
Yeah, I found this on his counter. And
he wanted her to find.
well, my heart sank. I thought, oh my God,
In her brother's journal,
I'm sorry. This is the only way out of my mess.
and on his tablet, a video from his final week alive that left her horrified.
Well, Amanda, this is it. You and Rachel have taken all my money. I have nothing to live on. I can't even pay the trustees for bankruptcy.
I was completely devastated.
And that devastation only deepened as Barb Smith discovered online chats dating back over 2 years, along with dozens of explicit photos of women who use names like Amanda, Hillary, and Rachel. Piling up the pain, $8,000 worth of used gift cards.
$800, $1,500, $600, $780.
And over $25,000 in MoneyGrams. Roger Smith, it appears, kept meticulous records.
I'm not sure exactly, but I would say probably 20 different people. Some of them were men.
It's absolutely tragic.
Roger Smith's longtime boss, Duncan Porter, says he tried to intervene for months. But Smith appeared convinced, he says, that the person or people who sent him photos like this one was 100% legit.
He had sent her some money for a plane ticket, and it was always getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And I just said, Roger, it's not real.
And this picture? Not Amanda from LA, but an American porn star named Raven Riley, whose likeness has been used by fraudsters for years. In his final days, it's unclear if Smith put the pieces together.
Amanda, now you're pissing me off. I'm going to start calling you Raven.
And while the coroner investigates his official cause of death, Barb Smith says she's convinced virtual love that led to financial ruin led her brother to take his life.
The humiliation and the shame and the hurt that he must have felt.
What's the feeling you're left with now?
Sadness for my brother and anger at the people who did this to him.
Reeves guy. Or this one if you prefer.
I have emails and chats and texts and pictures and stuff that I dare any girl to read these and not believe it's true. They go right to your heart.
Pamela Landers wasn't really being wooed by one of the world's biggest movie stars. She was a victim of what are known as imposter or impersonation scams. The Keanu Reeves scam is a relatively recent version of this racket, and one so effective, victims have been reported being conned by it both nationwide and around the world.
Impersonation scams are, they come in a number of varieties, whether that's government impersonation or business impersonation, relative impersonation, or online love interest, otherwise known as romance scams.
Since the start of the pandemic, more than 150,000 romance scams have been reported to the FTC, likely just a fraction of the total. Many, if not most victims, are too embarrassed to report having been duped.
A scammer pretends to be someone that you trust in order to convince you to send them money or your personal information.
That's how it worked with Landers, who says fake Keanu spent weeks expressing his love and winning her trust. Once the hook was baited, fake Keanu started reeling Landers in. First he asked her net worth. Then he asked for money, $400,000. In case you're wondering, Keanu Reeves is estimated to be worth $380 million. Landers, who works as an accountant, said she asked fake Keanu why a multimillionaire needed her financial help.
No, I never got an answer on that one.
She also never sent any money. But the texts and declarations of love continued. Romance scammers are nothing if not persistent.
Keanu Reeves, if you're watching this, I know it's not you. I hope everyone knows it's not you.
Reeves, the real one, was unavailable for comment, but his publicist said in a statement that Keanu Reeves does not participate in any form of social media, nor has he ever done so in the past or plan to do so in the future. If anyone tries to contact you via social media claiming to be him, it is fraud. The FTC advises that you cut off all communication with an online Romeo or Juliet the second you're asked for money. But Landers says this can be difficult, especially for people who may be lonely or who may be thrilled just by the idea of being wooed by a celebrity.
You get every word said to you possible to suck you in.
Even now that she knows it was all a ruse, Landers still looks back on the first few weeks of fake Keanu's attentions with a sense of excitement.
I had to always keep reminding myself after that first 2 weeks, it's not real. People don't fall in love this way. It just doesn't happen.
But it's nice to be courted.
Oh, it's wonderful. It was wonderful.
And it works. Last year alone, according to the FTC, victims of romance scams lost more than $500 million.
If you're in any way feeling emptiness in some part of you, they're going to find it. They found it with me.
And I just want to reiterate what the FTC says. As soon as you are asked for money by anyone online, walk away. The one exception, of course, being my online romance with Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett, you complete me.